Why are adult birthdays on average so disappointing?
Well, different people have different birthday experiences, and some people love their birthdays and some people don't. And I believe there's a spectrum that all of us are on, whether we are birthday avoidant all the way up to being birthday positive. And the people that really don't like their birthdays and have a hard time with their birthdays, I think it's because they're grappling with a lot of issues that might be buried in ways they don't even know. Stuff from childhood, disappointments, expectations. Also, I think that birthdays are such a powerful day. They're so personal. You know, Nobody cares more about my birthday than me, and nobody should care more about your birthday than you. And so when we show up on our birthday and we're excited and we want attention and love and good energy from people naturally, and we don't get it, and we can feel hurt by that, actually, that we have these expectations, and if there's anything that goes wrong, it can shut us down and sort of give us this message that we're not really worthy of all that good energy we were hoping for. And so let's not even open ourselves up anymore to the hope of having a happy birthday.
I thought you were going to say at a larger level, it's the most likely rejection we can have in the course of a year.
Mm,
Because unless you're
mm.
setting really clear expectations with everyone around you, and your spouse gets exactly that key lime pie thing that you love flown in from that place on time, in the midst of fighting with you, getting the kids ready for school, doing all the other things, right? Regardless of anything else that's going on in your relationship, unless everybody you love and expect to love you expresses their love in exactly the proportion and the format that you would deem fit, which there's no way you've explained to them, there is no way that adult birthdays don't feel like a rejection, right?
That's such a great way to put it. Yeah, there's so much expectation, right? There's so much hope, and so much of it is unsaid.
Do you still look forward to your birthday? Do you plan it or have faith that someone else will do something to commemorate another year of your time on this earth? Or does it loom large like a threat, stressing you out and promising to lay bare your wastage of time? Tamar Hurwitz-Fleming is the author of How to Have a Happy Birthday. After a childhood with the average balance of satisfying and disappointing birthdays herself, she realized suddenly one day that her insistence on celebrating a friend's special day did not quite land as she had hoped. And she's taken the time to really look at why. On today's podcast, we're looking at the origin of birthday celebrations, the original, more divine intention behind them, and the way that it became so high stakes. What does your approach to birthdays reveal about you? As we age, do birthdays get tainted by the idea of getting older? Or have we, on some level, always felt like a birthday celebration is just an annual exercise in being forced to question whether or not we feel worthy? I was reading a little bit about the history of birthdays. It appears, and you probably know this, that they originated in Egypt.
Mhm.
And that they were only originally for the pharaohs. It was basically considered the pharaoh's day of birth into godhood. So it was really considered sacred, and it wasn't for average folks. You and me would not have had a birthday. And then they say the Greeks adopted the idea, but only to celebrate the birthdays of the gods, not for mortals. Then the Romans started celebrating their friends, which makes sense. It's a bacchanal. But then eventually it was the Germans who created Kinderfest. It included placing a candle on a cake because the candle was the light of life, and the child was supposed to make a wish, blow out the candle, and they believed the smoke would carry the wishes to the gods. And the idea was that that tradition eventually spread across ages and geographies. So this historical context made me wonder, do you think that the reason birthdays are so stressful is because they were really meant to be about some sort of divinity? They were meant to be about going inward and like being grateful. And we've made them about other people telling us we're special. Like, do we just get birthdays all wrong?
Well, I think we are divine people, right? I think we all are pharaohs walking
But
around.
we don't act that way on our
We do,
birthdays.
we don't act that way on our birthdays, and I think that birthdays are the most spiritual day of our year because it is the day our life began. It's the day we left our divine form and became human. And I
Hmm.
can't think of anything more spiritual and sacred than that. I think where we've gone astray with birthdays is that we have focused so much on the more superficial celebratory aspects, which are wonderful, like the party, the cake, the presents, that for those of us that are more sensitive, more inward looking, right? we can sometimes feel that there's something missing. All this attention is coming at me, but there's something that I'm yearning for on a deeper level that's not being articulated. And to me, a birthday can give you a wonderful opportunity to tune into your spirit and ask yourself, why was I born? What am I here to do? What's my purpose? Am I living the life I want to live? And if we can use our birthday as a personal new year to take stock of our lives and ask those questions on a very personal level, this is a conversation with ourselves. It's not with other people. What am I doing with this life? What can I do to make it more fulfilling? And so if we can take a more spiritual approach to our birthdays, we can actually get more fulfillment from the day when it comes around.
I mean, that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
Fulfillment, not necessarily adulation. Um,
right. Right. Yeah, and the adulation is interesting. A lot of people don't like adulation. A lot of people get uncomfortable with, like, don't sing to me.
and
Some of us love being in the center of attention and some of us don't.
yeah,
And the point is, whatever works for you. If you want your birthday to be solitary and take yourself away from everybody and go into the woods by yourself and have a thoughtful, beautiful day in nature, that gets to be your choice of how you want to acknowledge yourself on your birthday. It doesn't have to be the recipe that our current culture follows, right? And that's my
right.
whole point. Do what you want. The one thing I do recommend, though, is that people, if they can, take the day off work or their regular responsibilities so they can have the day to do what they want and not just squeeze it in or ignore it because they're too busy, but really treat it like a major holiday. Plan
So
for it.
that and that kind of gets me to, you were talking about how some people don't want to be celebrated. I also think it changes over time, right? When
Yeah,
I was
it
16, I
does.
wanted the whole world to sing. And now I want a spa day with a lot of champagne and nobody talking to me or touching me or poking me or asking me where the Pokemon cards are. That's kind of,
Yeah.
it's very different than it was. How does how does our approach to birthdays reveal our belief system? Like sabotaging, by
Yeah.
hiding it.
Well,
There
so
are
yeah,
people
a
who
lot
don't
of
even tell
us,
anyone. They don't want anybody to know
right.
it's their birthday. To me, that always seems sad.
Yeah, I know. It is sad to me too. And I've come across enough people that have been like that, you know, that it's the chapter 2 of my book is all about the birthday blues because I know it's a big deal. And self-sabotage is something we do subconsciously to keep our joy from showing up on our birthday. We don't talk about our birthday. We don't tell people, or we conveniently get in a fight with our partner the night before our birthday to bring the energy down. Like whatever the tricks in the toolbox are for us to keep ourselves from actually stepping into the vulnerability of the day. It's a vulnerable day, and it comes back to what you said
It
earlier,
is.
right? It's a
Yeah.
vulnerable day. I think that we find ways to self sabotage our birthday because we have these hidden beliefs about ourselves, whether we're conscious of them or not, that we're not really worth the love and attention from others. And
Yeah.
those messages typically come to us in childhood.
Yeah.
And we're so sensitive as children. And it doesn't take much. I see we're like anemones that are open. And the slightest
Mhm.
little bit of energy that's negative shuts us down. And then it's like, I'm
Absolutely.
not going to open up anymore. I don't want to feel this pain, this rejection. I don't want to feel stupid. I don't want to feel humiliated. I don't want to feel hurt. I don't want to feel disappointed.
Uncelebrated.
Yeah, wait, where is everybody? Why aren't they happy for me? Why aren't they treating me like they should? Like I want to be treated. You're a kid, so you can't
Right.
really articulate that, but you're feeling it. And I felt that as a kid. My earliest birthday memory is when I was, gosh, it was 2 or 3. Well, I remember the cake and I remember getting a gift I didn't like, and I was supposed to like it and be happy about it. And it was like, I don't want that gift. But, I remember crying actually. I think part of it was that I was tuning into the energy from the people around me who were suddenly giving me an unnatural amount of energy, all focused on me. I'm the baby of 4 children. So by the time you're the fourth kid, I mean, the
You're
attention
not
from
the
your parents,
focus most of the
you're not the
time.
focus. No. And all of a sudden I was, and everybody's crowding around me and everybody's singing to me. And maybe, it felt like, what's going on here? I'm not with y'all. And yet, something's a little disconnected.
You know what's interesting? The way you're describing this, what you're describing sounds to me like your instinct was telling you this feels performative.
Yes.
And they expect me to perform. They expect me to love this present, and I
Yes.
don't. And something's wrong because this is not organic.
Yes, well said. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And, I remember one birthday I got in trouble. I would think I was turning 5. And so I got yelled at. And then that night it was like they're all happy for me. And my feelings were still tender. Like, wait, I'm still sore from you yelling at me a few hours earlier. I don't want to perform joy for you. It just didn't feel
Yeah.
natural, right? And so if that happens enough, then we get this message that, like, I don't want to deal with my birthday. This is not such a happy event. Now, I did have happy birthdays as growing up. I don't want to imply that I didn't. But my point is, every birthday was different. And when you're
Yeah.
growing up and you're getting different inputs based on your birthday, you start to form ideas around that. And you start to have expectations around it too. And then if at any point those expectations don't get met, like maybe people aren't around you singing happy birthday to you anymore, whoa, what happened? I guess I'm not worth the love and the attention anymore. Maybe because now I'm a teenager. Now I'm out of the house. And, nobody hands us a baton when we're kids and our family celebrate. Yeah, nobody tells us how to do that. I've heard so many people say that, like, oh, birthdays are just for children.
When you're a child, someone's celebrating you. Well, one would
Yeah,
hope. In most situations, your mom is celebrating you. There's rainbow, unicorn, mermaid sprinkles everywhere. Wonderful.
yeah,
Okay, great. To whatever extent your family provides, but that is your benchmark, and anything feels special. Then you go to what? College for most people. You're in college, there will still be something that happens, be it your roommates, be it a boyfriend, be it someone, there will be a candle. You start adult life, and that's when things fall off. And then I think the performative pressure pops up, right?
right. You get to decide what you want to do for your birthday. I do believe, though, that even if you're having a big birthday party the week before your birthday, that on your birthday itself, that is the ultimate alignment of
Yeah,
your spirit and your soul. And don't ignore that. Don't sabotage the
yeah,
energy of your birthday magic by not celebrating on your actual day. It doesn't mean you have to have the party on your actual day, but do something to acknowledge that today is the day. And the analogy I use is the total eclipse of the sun. For you to
yeah,
experience a total eclipse of the sun, you have to be in alignment and in that path of totality, which is, if you're 50 miles outside that path of totality, you're not getting a total eclipse of the sun. It's the same thing with your birthday. You are in total alignment that day. It's the day your spirit came into your form and began your life. And so that day there's a lot of magic there on your
mm,
birthday. And if you open yourself up to it, it is amazing what can happen on your birthday. I remember, I love this story. A couple of years ago, I was celebrating my birthday with 4 other people. We were away for the weekend and we were playing a card game, and there were 13 rounds. I'd never played it before. And some of it was luck and some of it was choice, what you do with the cards you draw. But there were 13 rounds, and I literally won hand after hand after. I won 11 out of those 13 rounds, which was unheard of. But I knew it was birthday magic. And I
yeah.
just kept saying, it's the birthday spirit. It's my birthday magic. And I received it and I delighted in it. And 2 days later, when we played again, I lost and kept losing and maybe won one hand, right? Just to prove the
Which
point.
just proves your point.
It did. I knew it was birthday magic. So I really believe that the universe and the spirits and whatever spiritual forces that you are in harmony with, they are out there ready to shower you with benevolence, with uplift, with good energy, because we all deserve that, even if it's just one day a year.
I was going to ask you, why write a book about birthdays?
Because no one else had, and because more importantly, I knew that I had a particular perspective on birthdays that I'd been studying for more than 30 years. And specifically, the reason I actually wrote the book was because I had a friend of mine that when I wished him a happy birthday, he got really upset. And
Mm.
he let me know he did not like his birthdays and he didn't want the any energy there. And it was really,
Not even
it was
acknowledging it.
no. And I
Wow.
kind of knew it. I kind of knew it ahead of time, but I showed up anyway thinking, oh, this person just needs, some good cheer from me.
Yeah.
But that really wasn't what they wanted. And there was so much anger really in their reaction that I thought, there's something here. There's something here I want to look deeper at. And I thought, there's something here. And it's a self-help book. This is not a book about how to match your balloons with your napkins. It's a self-help book to help us explore our own birthday experiences, why it's important to celebrate our birthdays, what we can do to plan for the day, and what we can do on the day.
Yeah.
As well as having a workbook. It's the same content, but there's now a separate workbook that lets you dive deeper into asking some of the questions of yourself that help you understand why you might have a trouble with your birthday and why you might be afraid of aging and losing things that you no longer have as you age.
Is there a finding or a belief about what percentage of adults look forward to their birthday versus what percentage of adults really don't?
Yeah, I don't have data like that. But my anecdotal experience is that I almost think it's half and half, believe it or not. I think if
Interesting.
we were to put 100 people into a room and ask them how many of you love your birthdays, I don't think you're going to get 50% of the people say you love their birthdays. You're going to get a smaller percentage. Some people might say they're fine. And then some people are going to say, I don't like them at all.
So then let me ask you the simple question. Why does it matter that we celebrate joyfully on our birthday?
Joy is a powerful experience. Joy is healing. Joy is transformational. Joy is contagious. Joy is the antidote to despair. Some of us have harder lives than others, and some of us have easier lives than others. But if one day a year we can allow ourselves to step into our life fully and into our own energy fully and be open to the joy that's there for us and experience that uplifting energy, I believe it's healing to us to feel that kind of joy. And it's transformational. And if we are healed just a little bit more in our experience and relationship with ourselves, it makes us kinder people. And if we can become kinder people, the world becomes a better place, one person at a time.
That's a great ad for celebrating your birthday because there could be a ripple effect, right?
I was just on a podcast recently where we were talking all about self-love, and birthdays help us tune into that. But this idea that we should love ourselves is a pretty tall order. Hopefully we're loving ourselves, but if at least we can start by liking ourselves, and a birthday gives us an opportunity to do that. And when we like ourselves a little bit more, yes, it makes us kinder people.
It's funny because I thought you were going to go in another direction. I thought you were going to say we can start by caring for ourselves. So if self-love feels like a tall order, maybe really caring for yourself as a verb
Yeah.
is where you start. Because if you think about it, if you start caring for yourself in an active way, you're going to like yourself better because you're going to be like, she's a really nice lady.
Yeah.
She just brought me that sandwich I loved. What a nice lady,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or, wow, I am actually so simple that I am this comforted by this cup of tea. How sweet am I? I mean, really
Yeah.
just sort of appreciating yourself, especially as we age, which we should talk a little
Yes.
bit about. How do
Yes.
you think aging affects people's ability to process and enjoy their birthdays?
Well, what I'm hearing, I'm 59. I just turned 59 in January, and 60 is coming. And it's a big one. I can feel it. I have no problem getting older, but I know that 60 is significant.
It feels momentous.
It marks the end of Middle Ages. You're no
Oh,
longer in
does
your
it?
middle age. Well, think about it. 40s, 50s are sort of middle age. 60, you start to go into your senior years. You become senior citizen, you qualify
Okay.
for Social
Yeah, yeah,
Security, Medicare, all that stuff. So
yeah.
it's the beginning of that part of your life. And so for me, it means that there's actually less time ahead of my life, right? And there's a
That's a
poignancy there.
powerful notion. Hmm.
Yeah, it is actually. But I use it to my advantage. Like, okay, Tamar, if there's less time ahead of you, what do you want to do with this wonderful life you have? So the ticking clock, I think, is actually a good thing because it helps us wake up to the fact that time is running out. So certainly live for the day, live in the moment. But what more goals do I have? And let my birthday help remind me that with each year that passes, I'm 1 year closer to the end of my life, which helps me become more committed to living the life I want to live. That's a good thing. As you know, Poonam, there is so much pressure in our society to be youthful, to look youthful, to not be older, as if being old is a 4-letter word, right? And I rebel against that. I don't buy it. I think it doesn't do anybody a favor because if you're lucky enough, you are going to get older. And to feel ashamed that my body is aging, to be ashamed that my hair is changing, that my skin is changing, that's not my problem. I'm actually not ashamed of that. I know that I look different now than I did, and that's okay. And I know I'll look different in my future self. But if I have a pleasant relationship with myself and I love my life for many reasons besides just my external appearance, then I'm having a fulfilling life. And I'm checking with my peer group about this, and I'm getting agreement, which is that I'm not. I'm turning into a version of myself I don't recognize. My hair color is changing, my skin is changing, the gravity's pulling it down. I've never seen this person in the mirror before or in the photos. And so rather than resisting her and saying, oh my gosh, who are you? I don't like this. Let me do everything I can to stop you from looking this way. Let me go backwards. I'm just saying, hey, hello. Who are
Yeah.
you? How interesting. What does nature have in store for you? I don't know. What am I going to be all white one day?
Yeah.
Am I not going to? I mean, how interesting. Let me find out. Let's see what happens.
And I like what you said because I'm already looking at 50 and I'm looking forward to that. And I have no problem being whatever age I am, getting older, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, I have issues around aging like everybody else, but it's not so deep. I love what you just said. That's not my problem, right?
Right,
Like,
right,
frankly, you people have to look at me. I have to
right.
feel me from the inside.
That's right.
And it's really cozy in here. And it just gets
Yes,
cozier every year. It's always
that's
been
right.
safe in here. Like it's always been
Yeah,
safe to be me on the inside. There is like it's just a good place inside. So whatever I look like on the outside is fundamentally a you people problem because I get to live in this
yes.
I get to live in this soul.
Yeah, that's right.
You
And,
have to look at
you
this
know,
body, but I get to live in this soul.
that's right. And I love that you're using the word cozy, that you have a
It's
wonderful
so
internal
cozy.
relation. Yes. And you have a wonderful internal relationship with yourself. And you're it, my friend. You're it. You are it through eternity. That interior relationship is what you carry forever, right? It's not outside of you. And so the more we can cultivate that inner coziness, that inner connection, that inner warmth, that inner friend, I mean, how lucky are we? It's like finding the secret to
It
joy,
really is.
actually. Yeah.
You know, my great aunt, who is my grandmother's big sister, was like another grandma. The last thing she said to me when I visited her right before she passed was she's in the hospital and she says, Una, we come into this life alone and we leave it alone. She grabs my hand, do whatever you want. And I said,
Oh,
and you have to understand, coming from a huge Indian family where we're never alone, that's a big thing to
that
say,
is a big,
right?
oh,
And I
that's
said to her,
beautiful.
Nani, I always do. And she just smiled and she closed her eyes. And I was like, you know, it it is that internal life thing that she's talking about. She's really not
Yeah.
talking about being alone because she knew I'd never be alone. And I know she's
Yeah.
never really been alone in that sense,
Yeah.
but we are at the same time all alone. And so
Yeah.
there's this vulnerability around birthdays because I think it kind of sparks the fear that maybe we are alone or that we are nobody's priority. It's this
Yes.
fear of finding out that you're nobody's priority.
Yeah. It
It's
is.
scary.
It is scary. And that's where it's like, great. Why put that responsibility on somebody else?
Okay?
Rather than waiting for people to celebrate us and do for us what we can only do for ourselves, take charge of your day. Plan for it as if it is a major holiday. Start thinking about your birthday 4 to 6 weeks in advance. Make plans. Think about what you want to do. Plan for it. Show up for yourself and invite people to participate. But put yourself in the center of your birthday by making it happen and being empowered to make it happen. And I promise that if you take that approach, you will have a happy day or a happier day than you've had previously.
And I think it does vary between genders, especially as adults. But with a lot of my female friends now, we're all, I would say, the majority of my friends are financially comfortable, but still thoughtful about what they spend, except on our birthdays. On our birthday, we will do that one nice thing for ourselves without thinking about it. That spa
Yeah.
day thing, which is a frivolity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think it just depends on the person. But my point is that regardless of how old you are and what your gender is, and even your financial circumstances, everybody can make their birthday special from wherever they are and with whatever they have.
You used one phrase in your book that I thought was interesting, um, and I didn't write it down. What is the upper limits problem?
Yeah. The upper limits problem was something I actually read about in a book by Gay and Kathleen Hendricks called Conscious Loving. And they were talking about relationships. But it's this idea that there's only so much positive energy we can handle before we hit a limit and we want to bring the energy down. And we all have different ceilings to how much positive energy we can handle. And if you go past that ceiling for any amount of time, you get uncomfortable, you get nervous, you get afraid, and you want to bring the energy down. And there are ways we do that subconsciously, right? Let's say you're dating somebody and it's going really well and you can't believe how well it's going. You've just spent, a lot of time together. And really what you needed to do was take a break and integrate that good energy and then go back and see them a few days later instead of just nonstop good energy. What happens is that, in a situation like that, what can happen is like you pick a fight. Subconsciously you get in a fight to bring the energy back down. or
Or
you
distance yourself and sabotage
distance
the
yourself.
relationship.
Exactly. There's all sorts of ways that we subconsciously sabotage because we can't handle that amount of good energy. We all have different thresholds, right? Some thresholds are very low, some
And
thresholds are
because it's
quite high.
important to confuse people who are into you. Just kidding. It's important. It's really important to
Keep them
confuse people
guessing.
when they're super into you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So the point is that birthdays give us one day a year to push up against our upper limits and let ourselves expand past the point, so that we can have a little bit more joy than we've had before, a little bit more expansive energy than we've had before. And then the next day, guess what? You can bring yourself back down to the normal level of happiness and good energy that you're used to having, but push up against it, because the authors of the book that I'm referring to, when I talk about the upper limits problem, they said that they believe that the human journey, that our point of evolution is to expand our positive energy without the use of drugs or alcohol. Like, how can we naturally expand our capacity to handle positive energy? And it might sound to your listeners like, what is she talking about? I love positive energy. But actually, a lot of us can only handle a certain amount. And that's why birthdays are so wonderful. They give us one day a year to just push up against the upper limits problem and have as much joy as we can handle. And then integrate that experience the next day and for the rest of the year before it's our birthday again.
It sounds like adrenaline. Like if you can't handle too much of it, um, you're talking about it being a little bit overwhelming to take in so much joy. And when we first started talking about this, I was thinking it was about take in so much attention. A lot of people are not comfortable with that much attention or adulation, but it's actually a limit on the joy that you can take in and just sit
Yeah,
with and really sit
yeah,
inside of
yeah.
and not feel uncomfortable or awkward or as if you um arrogant or like you need to pull
Or
yourself down,
unworthy,
right?
unworthy.
Worthy.
Yeah, yeah,
Birthdays are an exercise then. Birthdays are an exercise in believing yourself worthy.
yes. Beautifully said. Exactly right. And we're all worthy, even if it's just one day a year. Let yourself feel worthy one day a year. People are happy for you because they get a birthday too. It's the one thing we all get equally. I can't think of anything else really besides death that treats everybody equally. We get one 24-hour period a year to celebrate ourselves.
That's
And
true.
I don't get 27 hours and you get 22 hours. We all get one 24-hour period. So there you have it. And nobody begrudges us that pause, pressing the pause button on our normal life to step into the glory of our birthday, celebrate ourselves, feel that joy, feel that expansion, feel that radiance that can come through, soak it all up, and then let it all integrate as it fades away until next year.
You just made me look more forward to my birthday this year. So it's coming up, and I think you and I just decided I'm going to book me quite one hell of a spa appointment. So thank you for that, and thank you for being my guest.